Okay then, gamers, couple of things to talk about today. We've got this map fly-through of the Starlight Wheel, the second map of Visions of Eternity. We've got some news about a graphics update, specifically to lighting and shadows. Is getting a bit of a, a bit of a glow up, a big upgrade, in fact, in the expansion. And then finally, it's Twitch drops. Guys, I love drops. Don't you guys love drops? But all of that as we get to it. And this map actually got a lot of interesting stuff in it. Some different architecture about the place. This is a very mystical map. This is talked about in some of the press articles that came out. It's alien and weird, right? Like for me, it looks like a little bit of a combination between Dragonfall, like the Melandru area in Dragonfall, and Auric Basin. So far, it is definitely very, very pretty. I like all the little lights floating about, actually in some of these wise mystical trees. Now, this is one of the more interesting developments, actually. We kind of see this Orion-esque architecture here with this circular thing. I do really like how Ore looks, so it's kind of cool to see that, and that might have some interesting lore implications when we actually end up getting there. But yeah, I think this is the kind of stuff that I really like. You know, I'm a big fan of some of the visuals in New World, and this really reminds me of Eden Grove in New World, and I mean that in the best possible way. I actually really like this. You have these kind of crooked trees, almost like holding these orbs of energy in their branches, looking, you know what's funny, actually? It also reminds me of Rayman a bit, and again, I mean that in a really good way. I love that game. I love how those games look. So yeah, it is very wacky, a bit zany, and then we're gonna have this interesting contrast here as well with the Azura architecture, right? We have these cubes, which we always would say the pineapple choirs as well, but yeah, we have this bright red Inquest color palette there to contrast like the much kind of cooler, softer tones here of the jungle, right? Like these trees that have these weird shapes with the ley energy everywhere, right? Less water on this map than the first map as well. We've got these big vertical waterfalls, so it looks like it might be a fairly vertical map as well, which is pretty cool. And of course, yeah, we have the mecha raptors, right? These kind of augmented wildlife. Okay, watch out for the pocket raptors, guys, right? You see I'm kind of covering them up now, but look, we've got an orange pocket raptor, so watch out for that one. You will be destroyed. You're going to get feasted upon by the pocket raptors. But of course, we have this Inquest structure here, and there's going to be a couple of these about the area, I imagine. Maybe less so on the first map. Maybe this is like more of a thing on the second map compared to the first map. Because again, the first map kind of has that pirate theme, but you do still have some of those creatures, right? There was that event where you have to kind of defeat the Mecha Raptor inside the bubble. You know what's interesting, by the way? We haven't seen Giant Enemy Crab. Giant Enemy Crab has not been shown off. And by the looks of this map, Giant Enemy Crab is going to be on the first map, I would say. In fact, it's definitely going to be here. I don't think it would really fit in with this type of aesthetic. And we also saw it in combat in the VOE trailer, right? And it certainly didn't look like this. It was on like a beach style area. So Giant Enemy Crab is going to be some kind of world boss scenario on the first map too. And yeah, pineapple. Yeah, you guys hype for the pineapple joy? That is a really fun addition. We saw that a bit in the Homestead preview, but here they are now. I also do like that it appears to actually get quite dark as well. I do like it when at night, the map is actually dark too, which is always cool. You can see we have, you know, the wizards, some kind of wizard camp here, which is going to be our base of operations, of course. And yeah, this is like really, you know, Melandru's realm from Dragonfall, I feel like, with a couple of added kind of fairy flares with these glowing orbs too. And then yeah, here, this is the stuff that I'm actually really interested in, because it was very much suggested that, you know, some of this map is crazy, it's alien, it's wild, it's almost like otherworldly. So I'm actually really hoping that there's a lot more stuff like this. We have these kind of twisted trees and energy and rocks like floating all over the place. I'm hoping for, like, you know, kind of an exploded appearance, almost like some of the fractals in Soto, actually, in Skywatch Archipelago. I think that would be really, really cool. Because don't get me wrong, this stuff is pretty. You know, again, very Auric Basin here, right? Which, you know, HOT, you can't go wrong with that, right? And there's some really nice visuals. But I do have to say, you know, at the end of the day, I would love to really have some curveball stuff, some really weird stuff that we haven't really seen in Guild Wars 2 before. I would like some of the map to be able to go, to not be able to say what it reminds me of, if that makes any sense, right? I don't want to go, oh, look, oh, wow, oh, you know, this looks a bit like Dragonfall, right? No. I'm really hoping that we have some really crazy stuff that is completely disconnected from a lot of the visual aesthetic that we see everywhere else in the game. Because I think that's just, something that ArenaNet is pretty good at, is inventing new things. Like, it's something that I actually complimented Soto on quite a bit, actually, is that it was very otherworldly. Like, the character designs, the world design was very much out there in terms of what they were doing, which is something that I really appreciated. But yeah, there you go. That is the map fly through. Looks pretty promising. We've got to have our fingers crossed for the content. Now, we have a bit of information about this map as well. It is now confirmed there is a proper meta event here. No press footage of that, though. They only played the first map, so nobody's played this second map. Well, obviously the testers have, but we haven't and the press haven't. So this is very much up in the air, but we know there is a meta event here, which is really good to hear. They've very clearly responded to the feedback they kind of got in Janthe was and Soto was really, that we really want to have some bosses. We want to have some farmable content. Also very important, guys, because of course there's not a lot of fresh content coming in the first quarterly release. So these two maps have got to last us until the second quarterly release, which is where they're going to add another map and more story, of course. So I'm really hoping that they have got some proper high replay value stuff that's going to tide us over and ultimately be part of that infinite replayable loop that Guild Wars 2 has, right? Like, we want maps. Well, look, I'm in Heart of Thorns right now for a couple of reasons that we'll talk about a little bit later when we're talking about Shadows, but this is the 10th anniversary of HOT, and guess what? These are some of the most playable and replayable maps in the entire game. In fact, HOT, in my opinion, sets the standard for replayability when it comes to open world maps without sacrificing on the exploration, right? There's a lot to explore here, a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of interesting visuals here too across all of these maps. So this is the kind of thing that we obviously want to see. We want to have that replayability factor. We want to have that exploration. We want to have the interesting level design and visuals that Guild Wars 2 maps are kind of known for. So that's what I want to see in these two. Let's see if they can go ahead and pull that off. Also, little note here, by the way. Notice this weird thing. It's kind of like it's the same model as like the ice elemental thingies from Fractals and Open World. Looks a bit like the Legendary. So it looks like this map might have something to do with the Legendary, by the way, because you'll notice that the Legendary weapon that we saw had this kind of yellow, vibrant yellow and black color palette to it, particle effects, and that's what we see here on this weird levitating thing. So I imagine that those weapons may have some kind of thematic link to this map as well. Although, of course, to be fair, these could maybe be popping up on the first map as well. We don't know for sure. We haven't seen any evidence to the contrary, but it's a little interesting snippet, I suppose. And you can see there's another one there in the background with like a blue shield around it. So this is probably something to do with the mastery, I want to say. Maybe? I guess we'll see what happens when we actually get into the game world. But anyway, that is basically the end of that. Like, we can enjoy watching the logo pop up again. You guys like cubes? Okay, this is a cube-themed expansion with the Azura going on there. So yeah, there we go. That's that. On to the next topic. Let's talk about the shadows, because this is actually a really welcome surprise, by the way. So what's happening? With VOE, we are shipping shadow technology that will allow us to make graphical enhancements to the game. Smart thing to focus on, by the way, because it means they don't have to like revamp any textures or models or animations or polygons or this or that or whatever. But lighting is honestly one of the most important things to actually improve and make your game feel convincing. And let's go ahead and scroll down. We'll get into the details a little bit. You can see basically what's going on. The shadows are gonna have better resolution, okay? They're gonna render further away, basically, and they're doing some smart math to make it better. That's it. They're doing some nerd stuff, okay? But let's cut to the chase. What is this actually going to look like? And if we click here, you can do this the same on this post as well, which will be linked. You can kind of have like a bit of a before and after scenario. You can see this is very impactful. So this is how it is now, basically, with high shadows on. Well, I assume it's ultra even, right? So you can see here that the proper crisp shadows, basically, the render distance falls off very quickly, yeah? And then with their new system, not only is it crisper overall, because you'll notice here it's a little bit sharper, right? The shadow is sharper in general. It also goes a lot further, right? And I find where this is the most notable is actually here, right? Like, look at the difference it makes. Like, in my opinion, lighting and shadow is some of the biggest, but it's so big, but also you almost won't notice it. Weirdly enough, it's a thankless task improving this stuff, but I think this is very impactful. I think it makes the detailing on the buildings just feel so much more convincing, right? And when you're walking through the world, I think shadows have a massive impact. Like for example here, this to me is very, very immersive, right? But look, like if you think even now, it doesn't render this for that far, right? Like on these far away objects, it's not being rendered. But in the expansion, you're gonna be able to see a lot further and you're gonna see way more detailed shadows and objects that aren't in your like immediate vicinity. Because I'm on Ultra right now, but even this is gonna be crisp, right? This is gonna be crisper. You're gonna be able to see shadows on objects like this tree branch over here, this tree branch, right? All this kind of stuff over here, right? And all of it is gonna make the game feel a lot more convincing in my opinion, like way more convincing and more immersive. Really nice area of the game to actually target in my opinion for improvement. Because I think it will really help with immersion and just make the game look better just overall. And we have a couple more examples we can take a look here. I actually find this one to be notably apparent here as well, because there's loads of situations like this, right? You're kind of running through a field or running over some terrain and there's like kind of little terrain doodads on the floor, right? And now you can see here that these are all going to be correctly rendered with proper lighting effects and shadow effects, right? So when you're running through like a field of watermelons, as I guess you can see here, and you can see all these little shrubs are also going to have like proper things. And look how much they pop, right? They absolutely pop from the terrain now. I think that's gonna feel really good. Right? So I think this is like a really good demonstration of that. We have another one here too, and this one I think is also rather interesting because you can see that it's also going to apply to the character models here too. Right, so you can see, look how crisp the shadow is, not only on the building on the back here, like that's how it looks now. This is how it looks after there. You can see like this. So a lot more detail on the lighting effects on the building, but also the resolution is also high enough now to be capable of actually applying to some of the detail on, say, a mount, and I imagine probably certain parts of the character as well. And that's a subtle effect, but it's gonna be very noticeable in my opinion. And you can see like right now, the shadow radius where it renders like them very high resolution is like not super far, right? But boom, look at that. All of a sudden you're gonna have plant foliage like kind of waving around and casting a shadow. You're gonna have highly detailed shadows on like mount textures, maybe even some of your character and faraway buildings. This is a big deal. We have some footage here on the new map. This one is also a really, really good example in my opinion, because here you can be looking out on this vista, right? With this like floating flower in the air, which is pretty cool. But also look at the detailing that you end up having on this shipwreck, right? And when you have these kind of tall buildings with some high shadow stuff, right? You've got loads of tall things where light's gonna be cast onto them and there's gonna be block light here. You can really notice the difference. And bear in mind, these are static. It would have been nice to have some videos here, to be honest, maybe. Obviously a bit harder to implement with their before and after system, but it would be really cool if they'd done that. Because I think where you're really gonna notice this is actually when this is moving. Because bear in mind, we're gonna have some wind effects, right? And the trees are gonna be like flapping around a little bit. And then you're gonna see a lot of this detailing really come to life on, say, this shipwreck over here, right? And like this shipwreck here, you're gonna have this moving shadow effect, which I think makes the game feel really convincing, like very real. So yeah, massive upgrades here actually. And the difference really is night and day. It's like very stark contrast. So very impressive. And you can see the DirectX change paying off, right? And having a team working on core systems is really paying off here for ArenaNet because this is a significant visual improvement, in my opinion. And with they are actually being careful with performance, by the way, just as a quick note. They are not enabling this stuff on the lower shadow settings. This is only for, I believe, let me actually quickly check. Medium, high, and ultra. So in other words, low and none, obviously, right, are not getting changed here. So obviously, like they are, they're pushing more effects out there. So this might have like a very minor effect on performance. They don't really talk about that here. It would have been interesting to have some insight into this. However, because of the algorithmic improvements they're making, they talk a little bit about like just making it smarter and better. And I very much doubt they would be pushing a change like this unless, unless it's going to be pretty performance neutral, right? Because obviously, MMOs in general have performance problems, right? They tend to lag a little bit, especially when you crank it up, especially with stuff like shadows, right? Especially with that sort of thing. I imagine they wouldn't be pushing something like this through if it was going to have some kind of negative impact on performance. So I imagine it will be very negligible or essentially nothing, right? With this stuff. But yeah, very impressive. in my opinion, with what they've done. And yeah, there's a couple of other like really good examples here. This is really cool, right? Like look at this here in the Wizard's Tower. You can see this is how it is now. You just have like a blob, right? A blob of shadow. But then with the new version, look at that. A lot more detailing coming through from the ceiling, like onto the ground there. Looks really good, I think. And then another very similar one here in Path of Fire. Where you have, I mean, this is like very noticeable, right? You have like a full blob of shadow here, but then when you have the new settings on, you're going to have all of these little gaps, right? Where the resolution is now sufficiently high and the detail is now high. So you can actually be relatively far away from some of these shadows. Because look, you can see here, right? You still have that effect here, but boom, there you go. You now have all of that detailing a little bit further into the distance. You don't have this like weird contrast where it goes from detailed to a blob. Very nice. And then the final one here is on Timberline. Timberline Falls here. I think it's Timberline Falls. Looks like it. And again, yeah, this is very noticeable on the trees. Look, all the trees have like a blob shadow here. And then with the new system, they actually have a defined outline being projected onto the ground. So really, really impressive stuff. And I'd highly recommend reading this article. We don't need to read all of this, in my opinion, but the really key concept here is they basically doubled everything. More of the screen with high quality dynamic shadows, better detail, so crisper shadows, and better detail rendering as well. And basically they just doubled everything. They cranked up this. So look, the resolution is going up by twice, right? They're doubling it from 512 to 1024. And on ultra and high, it's going from 1000 to 2048 for the improved resolution. And you can also see, this is how the shadows work now, right? So like when you're really, this is the old shadow map coverage here. And then they extend that out to yellow, right? Currently, but now it's gonna be like this, right? So you're gonna have red, yellow, and blue as well. So you're going to have all of this space all the way out into the distance with these shadow maps. So a lot more, right? Like coverage here, as you can see there. So you're going to have way more high detail. And you can see that it doesn't cover like literally the entire game, but you can see how much further this actually is and how like almost all of the screen is now essentially going to have those high quality shadows being rendered onto it. We absolutely love to see it. Yeah, and a new shadow technique as well. Some details are too small to be visible in a shadow map. I mean, they don't get shadows even with increased shadow map resolution. We now use a technique called screen space shadows to provide shadows for these details. The depth buffer of the current frame is used to execute a form of ray marching in screen space, which is kind of like ray tracing, but more constrained. This allows us to capture fine details on things like grass, small architectural details, and hero equipment to help them feel less flat. And yeah, that's where you're gonna, this is how this technique is gonna help with the plants that we showed, and indeed, like, you know, the bird and some of the character stuff there as well. Very, very cool indeed. And also, yeah, there is a, if anyone is interested, actually, there's a really good diagram, by the way. When I see ray marching, I immediately think of a diagram that looks like this. So there you go. If you're a nerd, happy days, okay? Like that's what's going on there, basically. That's the distinction between the two processes. So yeah, like there is a very, very big point here because again, having more detail on your armor, right, and having more texture here is going to be big. Look, dude, Frugal Fighter. Look at his fashion, guys. He's looking good. But yeah, he's going to look even better in the expansions. You might have a bit more depth and character, right, to like the various items that you have on your character, which is going to look really exciting, I think. Very, very cool indeed. We absolutely love to see it. We hope these improvements enhance your experience while you explore the world of Tyria. Very exciting. Very, very cool stuff. Little last minute note there with improving the game. Okay, without them, the 3D world could look flat or disconnected. That is correct, but now they won't. Very, very good. We love to see it. Shadowy goals. Excellent article. Love to see that big improvement. Didn't see that one coming. It wasn't really talked about by ArenaNet, but they just dropped this one on us at the last second. Yeah, RTX, look, okay. I want to be able to play World versus World with RTX on at 100 FPS, guys. Is that really too much to ask? And just to be clear, it's not RTX. It would be funny if it was, though. Okay, final bit of news for the day. It's Twitch drops, guys. Oh my God. So to the surprise of nobody, we are going to have some Twitch drops coming out with the expansion. Just normal. Nothing too crazy here. A little bit sad to not see a bag slot, guys. Come on, we want to see a bag slot, but there's some pretty cool stuff here. Upgrade extractors for watching an hour, which is pretty underrated, actually. You know, if you want to extract a rune or a sigil or something, you haven't got full legendary yet, it's actually pretty good to have these about the place. Allows you to reuse gear a bit easier. So look, nothing wrong with that. Fuzzy panda hat skin for 2 hours of watching Twitch. I mean, look, I feel like they give that the 1A every time, but you can get it now. Mini Maraca Choya Pinata. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's actually a high tier one. Have a little Choya, like you can traumatize all of the raiders in your vicinity by having this thing running around following you. Chair as well. Pirate Captain chair. I mean, it's a chair. Some people are into that sort of thing for watching 6 hours. You know, it's kind of cool cosmetic for 6 hours of Twitch. And then the Black Lion held toy voucher for 8 hours there as well. And we actually do have what's in that, by the way. This is what's in it. We have the pet sky scale whistle, pet dog, and then a bunch of kites, right? You've got the various elemental ones, the dragon emblem one, the packed airship one, the ram balloon, and the red lantern. So there you go. Not the craziest drops in the world, to be honest, but, you know, mixing up a little bit, something a little bit different in there. And yeah, just to clarify, this is a question that comes up a lot, by the way. This is cumulative, yeah? You don't have to watch 1 hour, then 2, then 4, then 6, then 8. It's just 8 hours and you'll get everything, right? So all you gotta do is type !drops in my Twitch chat, to get it. But no, I'll link a video in the description that walks you through how this all works, right? And you basically, this is what you do. You log into the ArenaNet account page, you connect your Twitch account, you watch the stream, job done. You get your drops. It gets mailed to you in game. There's also a little like Chrome extension that will automatically claim them because you got to claim the drops, right? It basically expects you to tab into the stream once in a while to claim them, but you can get an extension on your browser of choice that will do it for you automatically. Mute the tab and happy days, guys. We love to see it. And of course, well, this is a good time as any to talk about the stream plans. I'm logged into the Zero to Hero account, as you can see here, and I am going to do an absolute marathon. It might even be a 24-hour day one, because my sleep schedule is vaguely aligned this time. So, you know, as opposed to the hellscape it was during Jam Through Worlds. So it might be a 24-hour. We will play an obscene amount of Visions of Eternity. We are going to craft all of the legendaries. Obviously, we're going to beat the entire game. We're going to do the map completion. We're going to do all the events. We're going to play all the story. We're going to get all the masteries. We're going to unlock every achievement, right? Except the horrible ones. I'm not doing all the story slop, but we'll do all of the actual relevant achievements. We're just going to beat the game in every conceivable way, so that I can log out of the game, and then I can just complain about there being no content, right? Isn't that what we're supposed to do, right, guys? Yeah? Yeah, I think so. So yeah, definitely stay tuned. Bear in mind, if you are watching on YouTube, okay, it will not work. It has to be on Twitch. So unlucky for the people who like to watch on YouTube. It is a Twitch-only scenario. And as usual, these are going to be running basically until the end of the week, right? The Tuesday through the Sunday is usually how they do it, I think, or through to the Monday. I don't know, something like that. Watch 8 hours of Twitch. You know what? Just watch every streamer, okay? If you all watch every streamer, we can inflate Guild Wars 2's view count and therefore become famous and popular, which is definitely something that you are allowed to do and is not against the TOS. So maybe don't do that, actually. But anyway, that is the news. I have told you the news. Congratulations. How does it feel? How does it feel to now be an informed viewer? That's going to be the last bit of intel I think we get before the expansion. Maybe they post something on Monday, actually. Maybe a trailer, maybe even a studio update of some kind. Of course, the day before might be where they want to do some communication to the community before we go into the expansion. But that's going to be it. Stay tuned for a lot of content. I will obviously be uploading a frenzy of stuff after the expansion. Zero to Hero stuff, like guides, build stuff, all the usual that you might expect from a YouTube channel. So stay tuned for all of that. Make sure you've subscribed, liked every video, commented under every video, bought the game with my referral link under every video, watch the stream under every video, tell all your friends under every video, and of course, as usual, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. That'll do it for now, okay? I will see you in the next video, on the next stream, and of course, in Visions of Eternity. It's going to be a quite exciting time, I think. So, looking forward to it. Hope you are as well. Take it easy, gamers. Let me know what you think. I'll see you next time. I'm out in the mists. Ha 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 ha!